Live. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to Paranormal Pinays, the weekly live stream we do every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Welcome
Mhm.
to my channel. I'm Sapphire Sandalo. I have a paranormal podcast. I am also a paranormal investigator and occultist, and I am joined by, if you just go down the
Lyn
line.
Pacificar. Lyn, and I am a Filipino shaman and founder CEO of Herbalaria and an artist.
I'm Rannie AuGoGo, and I am an initiated priestess. I work with spirit every day, spiritual healing, and I'm also a shapeshifter and artist.
Yes, let's not forget that part.
Yeah, it's important.
It's important.
Art
Mhm.
is far more important than what society wants us to believe, because when you are creating, you are combining your essence with creator.
I love that. Actually, I felt that today because I'm working on a musical and I was working on one of the songs and I was making myself
Ooh.
cry. It was like really because it's so cathartic and it's so I don't know. So I felt that today, yes. Art is important. Making it and consuming others.
And claiming it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
hmm
And Lynn, you do the weekly art hours?
I do on Herbalaria's Instagram page. I do a live every Tuesday, 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's completely free. Just hop on. I'll throw a prompt out, some breathing and movement exercise, and talk story with whoever comes onto our live. And yeah, so it's for the community.
Yeah, and I hope y'all realize how valuable that is, just to have Lynn, her presence guiding you, teaching
Aw.
you, and creating at the same time. Ooh, I'm getting emotional.
I'm
It's
getting chills.
extremely valuable. But sometimes I miss it. I try to catch it, but it's like right when I'm about to eat dinner, and then I tried last time and it kept cutting out. But I'm gonna try again next week.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We've been doing this for over a year now, and we have regulars that come on into. That's why it's called art office hours. So you can just come in, leave, or you could stay the whole session. It moves really fast, like ours, like Paranormal Pinays. I always think it moves way too fast. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And we talk about some amazing stuff afterward. I'm like,
Oh
this
my
should
gosh.
be recorded.
You know how
I
many
know.
times you said that? Like we should have recorded that. That would have been a great conversation. Yes, it would
I
have.
want to say one thing. Remember
Mhm,
how that entity that we were talking about, and you were like, looks kind of like Venom? For
mhm,
some reason, a couple days ago, Sig like reposted one of their old makeups that they did that was Venom,
mhm.
and I'm like, oh, he's in your subconscious too.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
no. Oh no.
Yeah, my other sis, she's gotta battle that one. So and it's really difficult when it has to do with her partner.
Yeah.
I
So,
forgot
we'll
about
see how
that.
it
Ooh.
happens.
Oh my
Scary.
God. Yeah, we'll see what
That's like
happens.
real life scary stuff happening in the now. So it's not just
Mhm.
a story that happened in the past, it's like right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Oh
And it
man.
definitely wanted us to, make its presence known.
Oh, yeah. And Sapphire knows too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
like, I
This
don't know
is
if we can
like
share this.
we're not going to talk about it right now, but
No, right now, right now.
there is a thing. It's a
There's a
thing that's
Something's
thing.
going to be
going
a thing.
on. Something's happening.
That's
Well,
the
Something.
tea.
so just to remind everyone in the chat, you can throw up any questions, comments, and we'll put it up on the screen. Anytime throughout the stream, you are welcome to do so. But today our theme is dreams. Ooh, a little rhyme. But before we get into it, it is related, I guess. I'm wearing this incredibly beautiful unting that was made by Lyn, our very own Lyn.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Ooh, I'm getting like chills just like touching
It's
it and holding
gorgeous on
it.
you.
I
It's
love it
stunning
so
on
so
you.
much. But Lyn, so you create jewelry and adornments, but Ranny, you had like a dream about this. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
so this was 2 years ago. Before actually I met Lynn in person actually. Might have been right before I met you.
Oh,
because I
that's
had a
more
dream
than 2
about.
years ago. More
Okay,
than 2 years ago. We've
okay,
been knowing each other more than that. Yeah.
okay. Well, I don't know what like timelines that well, but I
Yeah.
did have a dream that I met you and I wanted to buy or I bought jewelry from you. And I think I even got the price range correct. I
Yeah,
don't know if you look at I'm like, oh, I got the price range correct too.
you did.
And it was really important for me to buy two specific pieces from Lynn in this dream. Yeah.
Do you want the
Because
specific? Do you wanna read? Did you have the journal entry?
I don't know how to I wouldn't know how to find it. It's
Okay, well, let me can I
I
give
because I
the
always write down dreams, so if I write down dream in the notes, it'll be like a whole thing of
yeah. So Randy texted me her journal entry, and it was just like my mind was blown. So it was I think in 2023 you wrote it, April of 2023 or 2022, might be 2 years ago, and she said she walked into my shop looking for 2 particular necklaces to gift to someone. Is it for you for or for gifting? And one had the nine tails,
yeah.
foxtail and something else,
I think
and
the other one was like Naganid or something, like
yes.
which might be related to the crocodile.
Yeah,
Mm.
it probably is. So I
Yeah.
was creating a lot of the amulets and talismans, and it was for sale in my shop because that's my specialty. And so she mentioned the price range of both and decided. So I opened up the box. I was like, "This is what you need," and she was still deciding and ended up getting both of those pieces of jewelry. So
Yeah. I remember saying it was more than I wanted to spend, but I know that I needed it.
when I make things, it's quality, and
Yeah.
I don't ever skimp on quality, ritual, and that's all integrated in everything I create, my art, Herbalaria products, including the Diwata adornments, which is under Herbalaria. And so when Ranny shared that dream journal entry with me, it was a validation for the work that had always been written in my own journals, as well as on my white dry erase board where I do a lot of my formulations. So I thought that was really crazy, but of course I'm not surprised because it's Ranny. If all of you know Ranny, Ranny is like supreme being, connected goddess. So her dreams are on point. And so I really listened to that and moving forward with my creations, including what Sapphire is wearing right now, the Unting Unting. Um, that is made specifically in a different there's even patterns that are numerically around her necklace for a specific intention. So yeah, that's where I'm
Yeah.
heading with Diwata adornments and under Herbalaria. So I'm really
It's
excited.
It's so exciting, yeah. Because I remember when I sent you the dream, I think you were saying, "I used to make jewelry, but I haven't made it in a while." So
Mhm.
and then now here you are doing it, and it's like what the ancestors is what spirit wanted you to do. And it's perfectly timed because people need this at this time. People need protection. They need
Mhm.
to raise their frequency at a level that you know, can bring them blessings and protection because I believe in amulets. I believe in
Yeah.
especially
Right.
when you
Same
create
here.
it in ritual, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, so one time here's something kind of spooky. So I
Mhm.
was making my amulets, my necklaces, and all of a sudden I thought someone was right here in my face, like they were staring at my work. So I always get that sensation that spirit is watching me or the ancestors, whoever's curious about the work I'm doing. And then I hear a breath right
Ooh.
by my ear, like like that. And I was like, "Oh my gosh," but I didn't feel like a shift in temperature, like cold or anything like that, but I simply felt a presence looking over my shoulder with a kind of "I'm impressed"
Mhm.
sensation. So, I think I'm doing something right if spirits are really looking at my work and enjoying it.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so funny because like today a weird thing happened. Where when we got home from grocery shopping, I was like, "Oh, look who came to greet us." Like I thought it was my cat. It was like a shadow and I was like cuz our cats are very like whatever with us, so I was like all excited and Sing's like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, where'd he go? And we looked all like around the area. It wasn't my cat. It was just a shadow creature or
Oh,
something. But
Oh,
wow.
weird.
I was like, hey, look at you. I'm like
Oh my
all
gosh.
excited that it was my cat. But things like that don't surprise me because I'm like, oh, I guess it was just a shadow entity, whatever.
Mm,
He got some love.
he wanted your attention.
Mm,
Yep, it
Lots
made
of people
itself
want your
known.
attention. Yes.
I love it.
I saw
Sorry.
Adam's comment on the Nine Tails
Oh,
technically
here we go.
maintaining the Pokemon theme.
You
It's
know
called
what?
a kitsune, right? Kits- or not the Pokemon, the actual like
Oh, the
folklore
actual Nine
creature.
Tails?
Yeah, I think those might be shape-shifting
Yeah.
entities. I'm not sure. I just am
Mm-hmm.
saying that. I'm just
I
pulling
think
it out of my
so.
ass. Just kidding.
I
Um,
actually did to go off on the Nine Tails thing on Pokemon. I did my I talked to my daughter and I said, I'm so behind on the Pokemon stories. I'm like a Gen 1, Gen 2, and 3.5 because I'm after some time I couldn't watch any further. So I ended up watching more episodes last week.
Oh my
I was on Pokemon journeys. So like Ash and Brock and Misty end up getting back together, and so I'm on the episode of where Squirtle and his gang are, snubbing them, and they're trying to be like, "Hey, we were once together," and yeah, so I stopped on that episode.
it's funny. One more Pokemon thing. I asked my grandbabies what their favorites were, and I was like, "Oh, I think that aligns to like what elements they're aligned to." One of them
Yeah,
said
Mm.
Squirtle, and then another one said Pikachu, and I'm like, oh, "Okay,
yeah.
okay."
Like checks
But
out.
yeah, that's you. Yep, you're very those things. You're very lightning. You're very much from the sky gods.
Mhm, mhm.
I love that. Awesome. All right. So part of the reason why we wanted to talk about dreams today is because you were both sharing some really interesting dreams you had lately. I don't know if either of you want to like share one of the ones you recently had to start us
Which
off.
ones did I don't know.
Oh
I
my
have
gosh.
so
I
many
just feel
dreams. I'm
like
so weird. You know what though? Like dream work is extremely important. Um and I think I mentioned this before, but I work with a deity who said that if you're not working in your dreams, you're only living half of your life. So I would encourage any of you who are listening to really try to think about that. Think about ways that you can tap into your dreams and receive messages, especially because we're going to be moving into Scorpio season. And you could
Mm,
do a lot of deep healing during Scorpio season with dream work because that's the deeper, the darker waters. So,
mhm.
mm.
I'm a Scorpio moon, FYI.
Oh, nice.
Yes. I love Scorpio season. So to go back to the dreams from what I recall, what I was sharing when we were going back and forth with our text messages was that I dreamt of a baby. I don't know, there was a lot of baby themes, lots of people pregnant right now.
Mm.
But I dreamt I had a baby inside me, but it was like I didn't have a big belly, but I felt like this mass inside of me. And I thought it was dead, and I stared at my belly, and then all of a sudden, it started coming alive and went through my belly as if it didn't bleed or anything through. It was just almost like it passed through the skin and came out breathing, like it was like it came alive again, like
Hmm.
something inside had been gestating for a long time and wasn't given breath. And I was assuming, well, it might be my creative centers are finally coming alive because I've been massively doing art on so many levels and exploring. I was texting Rannie about like resin work and different things. I'm trying to seek out masters and people with different skill sets that I don't particularly have, but would love to learn more about. And that's my expansion, my continued growth as an artist. So that was the dream I received. And then I know Ranny said she
oh
had
yeah.
also something similar.
Okay, so over the weekend I had a very similar dream that but it was weird because like in my dream I was the woman who was going to give birth, but also the baby. So my perspective was shifting, and I was like, "It's okay, you're gonna be okay." And then I'm also the baby that's like, "When am I supposed to be coming out, or should I be leaving?" It was a really weird dream. But then my dream progressed where the baby was born, and then I had to like carry it over these bridges. I have a lot of dreams where I'm crossing bridges and the bridges are like above water, but there's like when you look to the side, there's all these bridges that connect. So I think it's like the bridge of spirit and the material, or there's many layers to it. But yeah, that was very interesting, that dream. Because also my daughter's pregnant right now, and I'm like, is that the baby? Like, was I helping the baby? I don't know. But
We'll
I was
see.
like, oh,
Okay, as you
interesting.
were describing that location of all of these bridges near you, I had a memory unlock. And I don't know if I texted you about this dream, but it was when you just moved to your new house. I dreamed about going to visit you at your house, and I was walking around your neighborhood, and then there was this area where there was like a large canal, and there was just a bunch of bridges. And I have it like written in my journal, but that just like unlocked something for me, and I was like, oh, I wonder if like that's the same place.
Yeah, yeah, those are those bridges. It looks like bridges go for infinity on one side, and then you're on a bridge. But yeah, maybe that. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's whenever we have a dream, also because the subconscious is so expansive, there are so many layers to the dreams. So the dreams can be related to the past, the present, and the future at the same time. And also it could be related to friends, family, yourself, because we are all actually very connected. We are all one, right? So yeah, just when it comes to dream work, it's just so valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to also bring up another thing about dreams. People have dreams of me teaching them in dreams. So when you were saying if you're not working in the dream realm, you're only living a life half lived. I know Rannie and I definitely go around dream realm. And I teach people in that realm more than here in the living realm, in the waking realm, because, or this is the dream realm too, like who knows, maybe that is the true waking state on the other side, right? So when people go, do you have classes? I'm like, not really. I do once a year, twice a year. I'm very sparse in when I teach because my true teaching is in the dream state. And so when people come to me and say, hey, I had a dream about you and you were teaching me this, and I'm like, yeah, doesn't that make sense? They're like, yeah, I needed to hear that from you. And these people don't know each other. And I think that's really fantastic. It's a validation to the work we do as spiritual workers, or like whatever you want to call that, and dream workers, right? So, and and this is where I think, Rannie, we can segue to when you met Amala, that part of me like years ago.
Yeah, that was another dream that my little sister had that dream. I actually consciously wrote down spirit saying Amala, which is your spirit self, the one of your spirit selves, I would say. And yeah, my sister had the same dream. So I was able to validate her dream and all of that because she was like, oh, there's also this person that's, I think, related to our ancestors. Her name's Amala. And I was like, wait a minute, let me get my journal. So I found my journal and showed it to her. So yeah, and you are definitely a link to the ancestors, a link to channel the voice, not just the voice, the traditions or the transformation of tradition by the ancestors, if that makes sense. Like you're helping to transform tradition in a way that is palatable, in a way that is tangible, in a way that makes sense to people now.
Yeah. I think that's amazing that your little sister channeled that. I know you have a very gifted lineage.
She's a Cancer too.
Oh,
she has the same birthday as you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No coincidence.
Yeah, so it makes sense that you would be working with her in dream space because she's probably very connected in many ways.
Yeah, I believe so. We're gonna have to meet one day. And speaking of Amala, I have a comic book character that through Diwata Comics, which is interesting when you're saying palatable, that's going to be expressed through Diwata Comics, and my character's name is Divina Amala. So check them out. The anthology is coming out next year, and you'll start seeing our stories, traditions written and illustrated in such a way that people can understand and feel hopeful about, and not feel so afraid of their own gifts, because I know that there are people out there who say they don't want to see spirits. It's too scary, but I definitely have dreams. I have dreams that seem to come true and all that. And I'm like, yeah, because you are powerful. It's just you're scared because you don't have someone to say, hey, it's okay. It's okay to be you. It's okay to be authentically powerful.
Yeah, I mean, and that's many lifetimes as well that of embedded fear within practitioners, within highly spiritual people. Um, and that's something that I believe that with what we're doing, it's going to help people to heal and shed those the old fears
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
again because it's time, right? Like it's here, it's time to change the narrative. It's time for us to collectively step into our power.
Yeah. Ooh, she's just dropping everything today. Ooh, I'm feeling that. My head's just feeling all kinds of tingles from the ancestral realm. I'm like yes, yes. Everything she's saying right now is everything.
Yeah, and so with dreams, you know, I feel that if to give some advice, I guess, in regards to like starting to tap into your dreams,
Mhm.
start journaling. Start
Mm-hmm.
journaling your dreams and then also ask questions. Have intentions before you go to bed, you know?
That
That
always
right
works
there.
for me. Yeah.
Like you will
Yeah,
be surprised with what comes up if you intentionally dream. If you write down a question, if you try to visualize symbols, patterns that can repeat in your dreams, you know, this could be like a whole ritual that you do.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone I was recommending that they write their dreams down in a journal, and they're like, I don't want to start something else. I'm like, but you have powerful dreams. You should log it in and so that
Mm-hmm.
you can look back on it. They're like, so basically they don't want to start a new habit or a new thing or start something.
Hmm.
We'll just say like, well, maybe you just have a journal just in case.
Yeah, just in
Because
case.
also like you never know. And when it comes to journaling your dreams, it's best to like if you really want to do it, like to make sure that you have whatever you want to write it down on, or even your phone, talk it into your phone because sometimes that's easier. Have it right next to you because you want like minimal movement to like really be able to like write down the dreams, like the meat and potatoes. So you wake up and you just like try to remember what showed up, try to remember um, how you're feeling, and then you write your dreams down. But give it a beat, right? But don't move too much because muscle memory, right? You want to like
Mm.
be in that,
Mhm,
stay in that dream space, the dreamy
mhm,
space.
mhm.
Yeah.
That's a good
So,
point.
mm,
Mhm,
a question that I get emails about a lot from people are people who ask, how do you know if a dream is just a dream or actual communication with a spirit or a message? Um, and to me, I feel like it's all kind of the same in a way.
It's like yeah, it's like multiple layers, like I said, like, it is if you remember it, then it's something that
Hmm.
is a message from spirit, from your higher guidance, from does you don't even need to know or have to pinpoint where the dream came from, just know that if you remember it, it's for a reason.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can answer to that. There's been for some reason, spirit talks to me through other people's dreams. They're like, "Tell your sister Lynn," or her name Lynn. They'll mention Lynn. So I'm gonna tell you the first one, which was from a cousin of mine who had a dream about, an elder, a Filipino elder. And my cousin is half white, half Filipino. He doesn't speak Tagalog. He doesn't speak any of the language, but he did give me a call and he said, I had a dream about this Filipina lady saying, talk to your cousin Lin Lin. She's an albulario. And so she actually named me an albulario years before I even used that terminology for myself because in our tradition, you're not supposed to self proclaim you. It's your community who names you as a babaylan or albulario, anything like that. And of course, proven work, proven. So when she said that to me, that's when he called me, and I really believe that is a spirit message from across the veil.
Hmm.
Because for someone who doesn't speak the language to say the words, and he's also very powerful too. I'm not gonna discount that either. But for him to say that was incredible. And then the second one was recently when my sister called me and said I had a dream about these people in a circle in fire, and they're like, "Tell your sis Lyn to remember this." And oh my gosh, it was such a huge dream to receive. Um, I think it's a past life iteration or whatever, but the supreme being actually came to her in dream and said, "Your sister Lyn, remind her that everything she knows, everything she creates, everything she doesn't know comes from me." And I was like, "Wow." And I was like, "Anything else?" She's like, "Yeah, but I'm starting to forget." I'm like, "Aren't you gonna write anything down?" "I don't wanna do that." And no, 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 I'm like, "Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay." I could hear the, na, 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 like, not that she really did that, but I'm saying, like, it's been over the years I've had, dream messages through other people, including Rannie, my cousin, my other sis, like, it's a constant thing, and I always ask spirit, "Why don't you just tell me yourself?" And then I told that to my husband, and so my husband's like he's like the one-liner wisdom holder, and he's like, "Because it's not as impactful if it's from you. It's more impactful when somebody else says it and
Yeah.
more validating." And I was like, "Oh gosh, okay. Thank you." I was like, "Thank you for that." I didn't So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's to answer your question, that's how I believe that's a true message from spirit versus walking through dream realm and sifting through your subconscious. I mean, I think some things we're working through the day, like, right now, and your subconscious is just helping you process a lot of things in dream realm, and so that does happen too, and you can tell when it's, like, not really significant, you're just like, "Oh, okay." You're walking through and things are happening, you're running away from things, whatever you were running away from during the day, during this wake state here, yeah, you'll work through that. But these spirit messages or even like seeing places in your dreams that feel real to you, somewhat like it's almost real and at the same time like not. And then later down the line, years later, you're like, oh my God, I saw this in a dream. That's where there's a connection too. So I mean, that's my personal experience. I don't know, Randy, what do you think? What do you believe?
When it comes to dreams, like I said, I feel like it is like there are multiple like layers and levels, and even if it doesn't seem significant, like if you do remember it, like later on you'll be like, "Oh," well for me it's like, "Oh, that's that dream that I had happening." It happens all the time where I'm like, "Man, I wish I knew the which dreams were going to be the prophetic ones and which dreams are not." But usually if I write it
Mhm,
down, I have a journal, so many journals actually, but I have multiple journals of my dreams, and sometimes I do bibliomancy with it. So
Oh.
like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna just pick up, and it's usually spirit guided, right? Oh, I'm gonna grab this journal, this random journal, not so random, and flip to a page, and then it's like a good like lesson for the day, or a good message, or even something that happened where I'm like,
mhm.
okay, there's the prophetic dream again.
Yep.
I love that. Manong Medicine says, I remember seeing you, Manong Lyn, in my dreams doing ceremony in the redwoods.
Oh, that's aw, thank you. Yeah, I that's Jeremy. He probably picked up on one of the rituals I did in the redwoods up in it could be somewhere here, but I do rituals in the redwoods in dreams, but there's a real one that I actually did in Lake Arrowhead when my sister Rachel was alive. And she was like, they need offerings, they need prayers into the land, and all these kinds of crazy things happen. That's like for another day, storytelling, stories with Sapphire telling, maybe. Um, uh, but so my other sis, she's like a film cinematographer, and so we were up in Lake Arrowhead, and she had a drone. This drone, is controlled by a remote control. For some reason, it flew somewhere, and we had to find it. And it has like a GPS thing. And she was like, this is brand new, this and that. And I kept telling her, like, the ancestors want an offering. This land wants an offering, and we got to do it soon. And so she's like, and it was broken. She's like, well, tell the ancestors they better fix my camera, my drone, if this is like what they want, right? So then we ended up getting food, and I did go into the redwoods and offered food and did ritual. And she actually filmed me doing it for one of the Moldavite oils I created. And then later on, like I guess she sent that in. They completely repaired it for her for free, gave her a new one,
Hmm.
actually, even though she never bought the warranty or anything like that. They're like, well, we didn't see anything wrong with it, so we just gave you a new one.
Oh.
So the ancestors were like, fine, we'll give you a new one. So sorry, we had to get your attention, but she needed to do the offering and the ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? That's why I never worry when things seem to go wrong or things seem to break, because I'm like,
Mhm.
it's probably for a reason. It's okay. Like, because of so many what I would call miracles, things happening where like
Mhm,
spirit has my back, spirit has given me gifts, spirit, like whatever it is that we need, like we somehow get gifted with what we need
mhm,
and nothing more. You know what I mean? It's not like if I really wanted something, then I know if it's connected to my heart's desires, my soul's desires, that I will have it, you know?
yeah,
I love that. I love spirit, and I love
Mhm.
how when we really connect and when we really have faith, everything is divinely timed. Everything comes uh, into being materialized if it was meant to happen. Because there's some things that I wished I would have had that
yeah,
I'm so glad that it didn't happen. Like when I was
mhm.
like when I was like a little kid, I wished I never grew boobs. I was like, I don't want to be a girl. I wish I never had boobs. I was so
Yeah.
mad. And then I'm like, oh, I'm glad that didn't happen.
Uh,
I'm glad I have boobs. I
boobs.
like my boobs. But I could have sworn when I was 7, I was like, I want to be like Mowgli from the Jungle Book. I want to be topless.
No.
And I was so
Oh.
mad because my sister's like, you're a girl. You can't do that. You have to wear clothes. And I was like, fuck you. And I'm never going to get boobs. So if you ever have something that you think you want, wait,
You
you
have to
know?
give
Yeah.
yourself time. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
believe that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Oh, Adam made a comment. I believe this is regarding what we talked about earlier with Lynn, how you usually get messages through other people's dreams.
Mhm.
Adam says, I think it coming from someone else provides razor sharp clarity. There's nothing to interpret or misinterpret. It's just there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the
Yeah.
point of being validated because there's no bias. It's just someone else
Yeah.
telling you, and you're not trying to interpret anything and be like, "What does that mean?" And "Is that this?" And you're not questioning because how can you question someone else's dream? They're like telling you it's a matter of fact. This is what I
Mhm.
dreamt, and I feel like I need to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I believe everybody has the capability to do dream work because these people are not related, and yet they're all coming at me from different angles and directions because spirit can work through everyone and in everyone's dreams. So,
Yeah.
I saw a comment here, they don't dream, but I mean, I know people who don't dream and don't remember their dreams, but they actually do work in a way that has nothing to do with the remembering of dreams, but they have to
Mhm.
forget that they don't dream.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they have to forget they
Forget that they
dream.
dream. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like like a form of protection or
Um,
like as a
yeah, I can elaborate a little bit on that because I know that when a person is going through actually like big personal transformations, they don't dream as much. And even
Hmm.
people who are really big dreamers have like very vivid dreams when they're going through like processes of transformation. They don't remember their dreams or very little of their dreams. And I think it is to just protect yourself because you don't need to remember everything, right? We don't need
Mhm.
to know and remember everything. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's good to have a filter,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
What's
Mhm.
important, because I know people who think too much and they have too much information flowing at the same time. I'm like, okay, let me just remove what is necessary and then leave what is like what will help you have clarity and focus on what's important. And then all what is unnecessary, removing what is unnecessary is so important. And I think that again, your higher self will help dictate what is important, what you need to hold on to, and what is not necessary.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, going off of that, do you think there's ever any, I don't know, like danger of people overthinking dreams, overanalyzing dreams? Like, have you ever encountered somebody who's just become obsessive over like trying to, figure out like what does it all mean?
I feel like that that with anything, anyone can get obsessed or
Yeah.
addicted to anything, especially
Yeah.
people who want to escape reality. You know, it's like the dream space is vast and exciting, but how can you materialize the messages from the dreams? How
Mhm.
can you make it valuable in real life is what's important, because you could have all kinds of fun, weird dreams, but if you start obsessing over it and it's not, nothing comes from it, then maybe you should think about how you're spending your time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. All that. Sometimes I think Randy just knows what to say. I just like, not sometimes, all the time. I'm like, yes, very well, very
When I
excellent.
listen back, I'm like, Lynn, oh, what you
Yeah,
say?
I was like, that's
It's like,
mhm.
um, yeah. Also, like a lot of my students have dreams about me teaching them more. People who have already graduated from my course, they tell me, "Oh, I see you in my dreams, or I had you in my dreams," but it's always in connection with another deity.
Hmm.
So one was like, "Oh, I was dreaming that you were Santa Muerte," and I'm like, "Oh,
Mm.
interesting." So there's always like me, but it's like in connection with something else, like a goddess or a higher being. So I always think that's kind of interesting that it's like it's me, but then there's also, or I am this other being. Like it's interesting. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
cool, that makes sense. Or I'm like, oh, I don't know why that happened.
Mhm, mhm.
That's cool.
Who's
Uh,
that? Let me look it up.
Manong Medicine says, have you experienced what I call continuation dreams? For example,
Yeah,
you having a very vivid dream, then it could be weeks and months from now, and then you continue where you left off.
I can speak to that also
Mm.
for someone else I know who also has continuation dreams. Like, it's like a story. Like, it's like
Hmm.
one it's sequential story,
Mm.
sequential dreams, basically. But yeah, I've experienced that. I've also experienced dreaming within a dream. So you're
Oh,
waking
God.
up
Yeah.
into and that's always freaky for
It's
me.
like
It happens to
ketamine.
me so yeah, there was a
Or-
period of time where I was dreaming within dreams like 6 it was like 6 in a row, like every single morning. It was exhausting. I was like, "I don't know
Oh
what's
my
real
gosh, it's
anymore."
like Inception.
Yeah.
That movie Inception, gosh.
I'm sorry, I
But,
interrupted you.
yeah.
Continue.
No, 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 I think that's valid, like, to talk about the dreams within a dream, but also the sequential parts because, for me, it's not so much sequential, I always return to the place of my youth where I was growing up in an apartment building. For some reason, I always go back there
Mm.
as if, like, it's a source of like, a starting point,
Hmm.
um, and then things move out from there. I think there's, like, dream touchstones or touch places where
yeah.
it's always like okay, I'm here at a place of my childhood. I'm moving out into where the pool was and I'm meeting people, but it's always from somewhere. And then the story continues from there. So that's where the sequential ones start for me. But then I don't think they're foretelling of anything. I actually feel like they're helping me process something, like remind me to go back to my place of origin, remind me what I was doing when I was a child. I was doing rituals as a child, which is really weird for a Filipina at that age to like be doing ceremonies on a little trunk and be like, I'm a priestess in Egypt. And my parents are immigrants. They don't know any. They're just like, oh, they don't
Yeah.
really say anything. And they're not even with me. It's my grandmother who's like watching all my children or General Hospital while I'm doing these kind of things. So those are soap operas, by the way, if you don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Um,
I know those.
Oh, we
They're
know.
they're
oh, we know.
programs.
I don't know if the rest of the generations know, but I just know that I used to watch soap operas with my grandma.
Funny.
So yeah.
I you
But
know,
anyway, to that. Mhm.
I kind of, I don't know if it should be for another episode, but like what we intuitively did as kids that were like highly spiritual, because I remember doing like a
Ooh.
lot of stuff like that. So I don't know if that's for this episode or another episode, but I was actually journaled about that on, I don't know, the other day about like, because I was like, what did I do? And like thinking about the dreams too, I feel like there are moments in time where we time travel to help our little selves,
Mhm.
um, to sort of like be there. Because there were times where I feel like I probably did see myself, my future or present or whatever self going back and like guiding me or protecting me. So.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's
funny
this
you
is
mentioned that. I
interesting.
saw a TikTok. Sorry, I saw a TikTok of a woman speaking to an AI that was her child self.
Wait, it was an AI version of her younger self?
Yeah, and she was talking to this younger self, and she started crying. And so she's like, and they were speaking in Spanish, and then she's like, "How are you?" She's like, "¿Cómo estás, mija?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm okay." Like, so tell me how did I grow up? Well, do I have to be afraid of these things? She's like, "No more. You don't have to be afraid of this
Oh,
anymore." And she started
Wow.
crying. So it was like the AI was acting as if that's her child self, and she felt that release, and I feel like I think it's pretty freakish, but at the same time helpful.
yeah.
But and I am not one to judge on how someone wants to heal their child self, because I think it's beautiful. And
Mhm.
I think in being in the dream realm, as Randy was explaining, in speaking to your child self and guiding your child self, that's also part of your own self-healing journey, so that you
Mhm.
can help other people heal their own inner child. And you have to do that. If you're trying to do inner child healing or ancestral trauma healing, and you haven't healed those parts of you that you're trying to help someone else heal, that's kind of hypocritical.
Mm,
You're like,
Yeah.
you're not really doing a service to this person. You're actually harming them, because your projections of your pain and suffering will go to that other person. So that's also energetic
mhm.
transference. So I wholeheartedly agree in child healing through dream realm as well, especially how Rani explained it.
Yeah. And I also had I guess it was more of a waking dream or half
Mhm.
dream trance state where I went to my child self and my child self healed me. Because when I was
Oh.
a kid, I was bold. I did nothing, like nothing scared me. And over time, you live through life. And I'm
Mhm.
like, wait, you know what? Going back to my child self would have been like, fuck that. Like,
Hmm.
like whatever you went through, like you're still you. And so there was this, yeah, there was a whole like waking dream or a trance state that I did meet with my young self. My young self was very connected to the gods, like very godlike. I felt when I was 3, I was like, I am very powerful.
Yeah.
Where are my servants? Where are my grapes? No, I'm just kidding.
I love that.
So, yeah, I really feel that there are so many ways that we can work with our dreams, um, and in a very tangible way. It doesn't have to just be like, "Oh, I had these weird dreams. I don't know what they
Mhm.
mean." It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, go like kind of like what I do, like the whole bibliomancy. If even if it's just that, even if you have all these volumes of dreams written down, like it could be valuable messages for the future, especially if you ask your higher guidance, what can I look into? Pull out this book, open it up. Boom, there's your message.
Yep.
Yeah, love that.
I love bibliomancy. It's nice.
I don't really do that. Maybe I'll try that. That's never
It's
been one
fun.
that I've tried.
Yeah, it's one that like I don't even really overthink it though. It's not like I'm gonna do bibliomancy. I'll
Yeah.
be cleaning and then I hear go to that book over there and then flip a page and I'm like okay
Mhm.
and then I'm like oh there you go.
And that's the message of the
Yeah,
day.
that's the
And that's
message.
exactly what you needed to hear or read, and spirit directed you. And I think living in such an openness to be directed is
Mm.
living in full faith that everything will be okay and all right with you. And Randy's such a great example of that. So you speaking to bibliomancy is on point right now. So if anybody wants to try that, you could just pull a book. For me, I use this book called Creating Money by Sanaya Roman. And so this book was published in the 70s, but it's still very valid today. And so I'll flip through it and I'll go, okay, what's my message of the day? And I'll go, I was like, oh, wait a minute. It says, you must, in everything you do, you must find joy. And I was like, yeah. And
Mm.
it doesn't click. It didn't click. I always read that. And I feel like everybody does affirmations, but only now, admittedly, do I feel like I'm finding happiness and joy again in everything I'm creating.
Oh,
But
that's
it took
great.
this long, like for me to not be afraid about putting my jewelry out there. I always have that inner voice like, no one's gonna like my jewelry, that money, art doesn't make money. I had to reprogram that whole thing, like say, you know what? So I posted on my threads. I was like, I am free of those obstacles and mental things, because if we really think about what freedom is, and I actually saw this last night. Um, talking about journaling on meeting with my spirit councils. So one of my spirit council members, unbelievably, is Abraham Lincoln, and I just don't understand how he became one of my spirit council members.
Oh my God. I love. Sorry, go on. I have a thing for Abraham Lincoln.
Okay, well,
What?
okay.
Ever since I was little.
Shut up. Okay, I didn't know
He always
that.
felt so important to me. I don't know.
I did not know
My
that.
husband even did a sexy Abraham Lincoln thing for me one time. I was like,
Gosh.
What?
Okay, Abraham Lincoln's in the conversation now. This is weird because
Wow.
so I was reading through all the notes of all my spirit council members. And then so Abraham was the one who was quiet first. He didn't say anything because I went down the line between everybody. And he stayed quiet. He's like, well, your products aren't just for peace of mind. He's like, they're for freedom of mind, freedom of body, and freedom of spirit. I was like, and then when he said that to me in the spirit realm, I was like, no one ever says that. People always say peace of mind, but they don't realize you can have peace of mind, but you could still be locked away and enslaved in some other person's projection and find peace in that.
Yeah.
that's my babe. Abraham Lincoln.
Babe Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln, come on through.
I love that.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. Whew.
It's a lot.
So Abraham Lincoln, we're gonna have to have that. That'll be in our after conversation.
I even had like there was this weird like Abraham Lincoln joke book that I bought when I was like 7 that I was just I don't even know. I don't know. I just really loved Abraham Lincoln growing up, which is weird.
So Alex, hi Alex.
Hi,
She says,
Alex.
"Wow, the
Hi.
Abraham Lincoln thing is so funny because it led me to the artist Mark Ryden, whose work I love. LOL."
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay. I know. I'm like, do I have any?
You know what I think too? I feel like when I was little, I really, what you learn in things in school, he was truthful. Like he wasn't he the one who was like, I'm not gonna lie, I cut down the cherry tree or something.
No, it's George Washington.
Oh, was it? Oh, never mind.
No, but he's Honest Abe. That was him though.
Yeah, he was Honest Abe. Okay, yeah, no, fuck
Yeah.
George Washington.
Well, you know
Fuck
what?
that guy.
Honest Abe, the fact that it's honest. Okay, so my grandma used to tell me this when I was little, and I think my grandma was really the witch. I just got this morning. She never made herself out that way, but I remember her always wearing the thing around her waist to protect her. And I would always ask her, why do you wear that on your waist, mama? And it left an indentation around her waist. And she's like, it's for protection. And I had to wear that after having babies. But anyway, that's another side story on our superstitions.
I told you about that. My mom had to wear one when she was little. Yeah. My mom had to, her uncle put one around her out of all her sisters because she was the gifted one. So he put one around her waist, which I think
so we need to put those two together.
Yeah, you're gonna make.
We're on it with that one. Yeah, I'm making those. I already told Gilbert last night. So I was like, I'm making all the magical stuff. I'm coming out with it. I'm going full force out. But to go back to the point of Honest Abe, my grandma used to tell me, Idai, always be honest. And it's something I've lived by all my life, which is why I'm a truth speaker. I think all truth speakers live from that policy of honesty, even if it hurts. But the thing is, growing up, when I would tell people the truth, I've lost friendships. I've lost people. People have like talk shit about me or maybe don't like me anymore. And then I realized it's because you didn't want to see yourself. You didn't want to see the truth. And that's why you shunned me and you pushed me away.
Yeah.
I've been even in the Filipino community, I've been betrayed. And as much as I honor our roots, our ancestors, the ones that aren't ready to be part of that truth, to be part of seeking their own selves and seeing that even within me. And I see it myself within Sapphire, within Rannie, and the truth that comes from them is also mine. And I love that. That's why I love being with them. But if you don't love being with someone else because they're telling you something that is true, then that's a part of you need to start embracing.
Yeah. Yeah. I was always that kid that would I was like, I got to tell the truth. I got to, even if it upsets them. And then as I got older, I was like, I'll just let them live in their shit, whatever. I'll tell,
Mm.
but when I was little, it was like I was very much like the one that was correcting people, the one that was always telling the truth or saying the things, and I was very much demonized for that with my family and friends. And then I just ended up like owning it, like as a teenager, and then now as an adult, I'm like, okay, well, sometimes you could say things, speak truths non-verbally without even
Yeah.
having to like,
Mm.
you know, you don't have to be the mouthpiece. You could just let people feel the truth. And that's why some people are very uncomfortable with us.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Randy, you're a
Yeah.
little fireball as a child.
I
You're a
was very
volcano.
much a fireball. And I
You're a
bet like that
fireball.
when I told the truths of certain people, like adults, I bet it really hit them like a
Mm,
lot more than they thought it would because I was this little kid. I
Yeah.
know my dad a few years ago was like, he was admitting that he was always scared of me. He's like,
Mm.
yeah,
mm.
when you were little, I was scared of you. I'm like, good.
Good.
So
Yeah.
someone needed to put you in your place, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, this conversation about honesty and the truth, I was just thinking about like my own experiences growing up, and like for me, I grew up in an environment where I used to be very honest and very blunt, but then I learned to just like keep all of that to myself. And then what happened is that I ended up having all of these friendships, like more times than it should have happened. Like I befriended so many pathological liars because I had just like turned
Um,
off the part of myself that could sense like truth and everything because I was lying to myself.
Yeah.
And so my journey to finding truth within myself and being able to speak my truth has been like a little bit different from all of yours. But
I remember
I
when I healed your throat the first time. It was
yep,
like,
very blocked.
yeah.
she's a good throat healer,
Mm.
even with Tupac Shakur.
Yeah.
Oh
With
yeah.
my dog, I healed his throat and now he just won't shut up.
I know,
And I'm
let's
like, how
close that
how
back
do
up.
I unheal it? I'm just kidding. But I was like,
Uh,
man, he was really holding back a lot. Now he just talks
yeah.
so much. I was like, the pandemic was weird. I healed my dog's throat.
I gotta tell you about throat chakra. So I was gonna say, like, Randy, you don't need to heal my throat chakra, but let me tell you, I got an aura photography thing, and so everything else was nice except right here was this red, energetic light coming from my throat area,
Mm.
and then so my husband's like, well, yeah, that's on point. That's right. You speak whenever you speak your truth and you say it even when it's uncomfortable for others and you stand your ground. And so recently we celebrated my mother-in-law's 85th birthday, and there was a commonality between her and I when people were going up to speak about her and talk about her, and they're like, well, Ella, or they call her Dr. Pacificar, was always honest. She just, and also her as an auntie, will speak her mind, just say how it is. Even if it's embarrassing, she'll still say it. And so I never understood that until I started hearing other people talk about her like that, how Gilbert would reflect that back on me. He's like, you remind me of my mom so much about her. Like, that's why I married you. You're such a strong woman. You speak and you don't give a fuck about what other people think. And I was like, "God, I do give a fuck. I want to just be honest because I want to be someone. I don't like liars in my life. I've always been hurt when someone lied about me or gaslit me, and I want to be that person in your life that you can trust, and that you can see me as your confidant if you ever want me to be that to you in your
Mm-hmm.
life. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truth is so important. Yeah. Ever since I was a kid, I was like,
mhm.
man, when someone was lying, it wasn't even like, oh, they're just it would I would be so upset, I'm like, "You gotta tell the truth." I remember my sister, even when we were little, we visited Vegas, and we found, like, a whole backpack with video games and stuff, and I was like she was like, "Oh, we got free video." I was like, "No, we have to give it back. We can't steal." Like, I remember stealing one thing once when I was, like, really little, probably 4. It was a gem. You know that cartoon Gem? It was a chapstick. And I felt so guilty when I
Oh,
got home that I threw it away. I was like, "What?" Well, I already stole it and I just threw it away. That was kinda dumb. But yeah, just like truth and being around truthful people, like is so important for me. And I have lost, like you, Lyn, I've lost a lot of friendships for speaking truths. But I do feel that, like, as I got older, when I would speak up and speak truths, that it would be like the catalyst for bigger change that had to happen. But then
Yeah.
I would be the one who ended up being like, oh, fuck that bitch. But
Yeah.
there was healing that happened afterward, even
Yeah.
if it didn't involve me. And I'm like, well, my work here is done, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
but they'll remember you though.
yeah.
There's people I've affected that same way, where I come in and maybe I did it, I should have been, I don't know, it was years ago, but like trying to help people fix their home and feng shui and energetically help them, ended up like the partner not liking what I did because they were jealous, you know, things like that happening, or feeling like I'm disempowering them, or, you know, feeling, why is this person coming in trying to help us? Because they're not open to being helped. Right. And I'm me saying, well, this is going on. This is why it's like this. This is why the energy is flowing like this. I'm like a little mini feng shui master in training. Not really, but I like doing energetic flow stuff. And then, so that's when I realized I'm not meant to be a feng shui master or someone to fix someone's home.
You're like,
I'm like, you know what? It's fine. Your
You're
house
like,
is great. None of my business. It's your sanctuary.
Wow.
I always sometimes, not always, so always sometimes, I sometimes feel that people get upset too by truths because there's like also something else outside of them that is making them more upset than they should be, like little like entities or something. That's another topic, but yeah, people get swayed by entities all the time, and to have the gift to be able to see or sense them is like, oh, you don't even want to waste your time. You're like, and I'm not going to help you because you obviously are very intertwined with the thing, you know? But yeah.
Ooh, Alex says, I relate to all of this. LOL. I realize that sometimes people are just not ready to hear what we have to say, even if we are trying to help.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah.
true. And
Yeah.
also something I've noticed, because I'm pretty big with cartomancy. I really like using divination cards. And when I started bringing them to like family events or like friend gatherings, because I just wanted to give everyone readings, it was always very interesting, the people who didn't want one. And it was always, I always just had a sense that like it's usually because they don't even want the possibility of hearing something that's going to confirm something they're trying to like hide within themselves. Because that's the cards just reveal what you already know. And if you're trying to hide something from yourself, you don't want anything to do with it. So it's not that, you know, divination and these practices are evil. I think that's why people have perceived them to be evil. And it's not. It's just, it's showing you truths that are hard, that you don't want to confront yet.
Yeah, well, truth speaking has been demonized by
people in power. That's why
Okay, there you
rules
go.
are
They don't want
control.
the truth. Yeah, they don't.
There were so many
State of
things
the
that started
world.
listing off people in power, churches, religions. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Let me not go off on that.
Yeah, look who is in. It's not true. It's not true power. It's false control. But people who are controlling things at this time, they don't want truth. They don't want us to be in our power. And that's one of the main reasons why I try to help as many people as possible so that they can find their voice, find their power, so we can all come together and overthrow the ghouls.
The real ghouls.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they literally look like ghouls. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even.
And all the ghouls attached to them too.
Yeah, they're just. Ugh.
Ugh.
No, we can't end on that note. We can't end on that note. Well, okay. So, I mean, we are coming up on the hour, but any last thoughts, comments, questions from people in the chat about dreams or speaking truth?
I love how the dream episode moved so seamlessly into truth, though, because the dreams carry our bigger truths, our subconscious truths. Bring those subconscious truths into the conscious, and then you can start really making big shifts in your life.
Yeah, I think I agree with the truth part perhaps dreams are really just reflections of truth. I think that they also show messages that have been latent within your own spirit that needed to come out.
Mhm.
And I think that we all need to work with our dream state. And if you have the opportunity to journal, which personally, I'm also guilty of not having a journal by my bed, but I do journal when it's significant,
Mhm.
to start a practice of just writing a word down, even if the word journal is scary for you, just put word, how you felt when you woke up. That's it. Just write down like one word, and then you can expand upon it. And perhaps that word will be a trigger for the memory that you want to remember. So that's just a little pointer on writing about your dreams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
Love it. And for me, something that helps is doing like a quick meditation before bed and really setting an intention of what question I want answered in my dream or something I want to explore. And it like works every time, like every single time. So, but also don't put too much pressure on yourself either.
Yeah.
Like if you're
Mhm.
trying to, that makes it not happen somehow,
Yeah.
because you're
Because
like
you're
overthinking it
overthinking.
and
Yeah.
You're overthinking it.
yeah. So it's like if I am meant to work this out tonight, then it will happen. But just being open to whatever comes to you in the dream, and remembering how it makes you feel, how it changed you. Like it does
Yeah.
like don't think it doesn't matter like, oh, is this just like a dream or like whatever. And like no. Did it change you? Like that's really the important part. Like what you learned from it.
Mm.
Yay! Awesome.
Yay.
Well, that has been our what is this, the third episode?
Yeah, we're in our
Yeah.
third.
Ooh,
Wow.
3.
Three
The
is a
magic
magical
number.
All the threes.
I hope
Well,
everyone enjoyed this.
yeah, this one was fun. Thank you everyone for joining the live and for all of your questions and comments. And you can find us at our respective Instagrams and websites, which are listed down below in the description. And at some point, I am going to also post these as a podcast, but I just have not had time. But
I know
promise
everybody's
work.
asking,
it will
is this
be.
a podcast?
I
Is this
know.
a
I'm so
podcast?
sorry.
I'm like,
sorry.
Sapphire? Like, Sapphire?
I'm sorry. I need to do it like while I'm sleeping in my dream.
There you go. That would be so great, right?
It'll be in Dream Realm if you want to catch a podcast episode.
Yes. Oh my God. Dream podcast. That would be cool. How do we make that happen? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Ending. So we awkwardly wait.
I know.
Oh
It's like,
God.
can you
Start
close?
picking my nose.
Oh
Cleaning
no.
my
Why
ears.
isn't it ending? Wait,
Because we're
no.
supposed to have
Because it's
the
after
podcast.
hours.
You know what? We're supposed to do the after hours conversation. Okay, now that we can relax, out of the Zoom talk, we're going to start talking about what we really talk about when we end our lives.